Yeah, the topic before us is traffic count in road construction. Because before you even start the design of your road, you understand? So you need to even do your traffic count, right? To know the vehicular movement on the road, to know the traffic on the road, to know the type of vehicles that frequently ply the road. So traffic count is very very important. So we'll check some of the importance of traffic count in construction, right? Because where you do your traffic count basically and mostly is during your road design, because it's the traffic count that is going to help you to understand the volume of traffic on the road and how you are going to go about your road design. So let's take a look at what this traffic count, what it means. So traffic count is the process of collecting and analyzing data on the road. So it starts from collecting the data by physically going to the road and counting the vehicles that are plying the road. Then you now analyze. That is after you have collected enough data. Sometimes you do it for a whole week, sometimes you even do it for 2 weeks, right? Then you do maybe morning and afternoon and evening, right? So you collect enough data. Once you have enough data, then you analyze the data on the number. So it helps you to know the number of vehicles that are plying the road, then the classification of vehicles, right, and movement of vehicles on the road. So it helps you to know the number of vehicles, the classifications of vehicles, and the movement of vehicles on the road. So it is essential for designing, constructing, and maintaining road that are safe, sufficient, efficient, and cost effective. So road traffic count is essential for you to design the road. Right, is the design now that you now use for the construction of the road. Then sometimes there are already existing roads that needs maintenance, so you can still use this data to do your road maintenance, right? So and this actually helps you to get a safe, efficient, and cost effective road. So it is widely used in planning new roads, improving existing highways, and managing traffic operation. So you use your traffic count to plan. That is when you want to start an existing road. So you use it to plan your road, then improving existing road, right? Plan a new road, improving existing road, and manage traffic operations, right, on the road. So with this knowledge of traffic count, we can now go into the key reasons why traffic count is required on the road. So some of the reasons are, accurate design input, traffic volume analysis, safety improvement, cost effectiveness, then effective traffic management. So we'll take it one by one to analyze and see, how all this actually affects the road construction. So the first one is accurate design input. So traffic count provides essential data, right, for geometric design, pavement thickness, and structural analysis. You understand? So when you know the volume of flow of traffic on the road, you know where you'll be you'll be installing your culvert, your ring culvert, your box culvert, right? Most of the structural members that you're going to be needing, or structural elements that you'll be needing on the road, right? You know where and where to put some of those structures. Then it also helps you to understand the pavement thickness that you're going to use, then also for the geometric design of the road. So accurate design input, because you are able to do your traffic count, so it actually helps you to get your accurate design. Then the next point is traffic volume analysis. So it helps to determine present and future traffic volume for proper road planning. So sometimes the city was a rural area, and within few years it translates into an urban city. So when you are planning the road as it were as a rural area, just a single lane, right? If you do your traffic volume analysis, it will help you to even determine the volume of traffic on the road as at present. Then it can also help you to get projection of what the road will be like in 5, 6, 10 years to come, right? So traffic count helps to get traffic volume analysis, so you'll be able to make your own projection to know that okay, within 5, 6 years the road is going to be needing another lane, right? So you actually give that portion, you leave it down, so that when the time comes you still have a place to actually work on. Not that you just do your road tiny and you allow residential buildings to come beside the road, and after a few years you start demolishing, and which is not cost effective. So it actually helps to determine present and future traffic volume for proper road planning. The next point is safety improvement. Safety improvement. So road traffic counts identify high risk locations and help design safer and road facilities. So understanding your traffic count, it actually helps you to, that is when you're analyzing your count now, it actually helps you to know and identify high risk location. You understand? So some of those high risk locations are where you tend to put your flyover, or you tend to put your roundabout, your intersection, your junctions, and all those things, so that it will reduce the risk in such an area, right, and help in designing safer road facility. Then cost effectiveness ensures optimal use of resources by avoiding over design or under design. So with your road traffic count, it gives you an insight on what to do. It makes your design, gives your design a direction. You know how to not to over design and how to not to under design, so your design will be within the range that is required. Then the next point is effective traffic management. So support traffic management, operational planning, and congestion control. So you, with the traffic count, right, so you'll be able to effectively manage the traffic, right? So it actually gives you that insight to support traffic management, then the operational planning, and also how to control areas with congestion, right? So when you see some roads that you are seeing congestion, you're seeing hold up on the road, traffic on the road, it's not that it was designed for that purpose, right? But maybe due to long period of maybe how many years behind, so the population has increased and all of that, so you start seeing congestion on the road. So with a proper traffic count, such a scenario must have been suspected during the design. So you tend to design ahead of it, so that when that time comes, you only need to do a little bit of adjustment to solve such a problem. So we'll be looking at the application and uses, right? So where do we use the traffic count in road construction. So the first is planning and design of new road. So when you are planning and trying to design a new road, you tend to make use of traffic count. Then pavement design and evaluation. Yeah, for your pavement design, then and evaluation, you also tend to use your traffic count. Then highway capacity analysis. Yeah, for your highway capacity analysis, during the analysis itself, right, so you tend to make use of your traffic count. Then traffic forecasting and modeling. Yeah, because you even need to forecast the traffic, so you need the said data to forecast your traffic. Then and remodeling or modeling of a new road, right? Then intersections and joint design. So for your intersection, your joints and all those things, you actually need a traffic count. Then road widening and improvement. For your road improvement, and maybe you want to widen the road, you actually need your road traffic count. Then traffic management and operations. So for the management of the road traffic and all the operations surrounding the road, you actually need your traffic count. So we have a pictogram here which actually depicts the traffic counting process. So the first thing we have is traffic data collection. Then we now have data classification, which vehicles are classified by the types, the size, and the direction. For traffic data collection, is using automatic counter, video system, and manual methods. Then for data classification, vehicles are classified by types, size, and direction. Then we have data processing. That's collected data is validated, organized, and analyzed. Then we have traffic analysis. That is traffic volume, speed, patterns are evaluated. Then we have engineering application. That is the results are used for design, planning, and decision making. So all these put together helps you to actually get your well planned and your design. So for you to get an adequate, sufficient design, you have to actually do your traffic count. You understand? It is an essential part of your design. It is what brings your design to life.